Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of The Modern Man. This is episode number 15. We have a very interesting guest here today. This is Jason Wolverson. I hope I didn't get the surname wrong.
You got it right.
He is a medium. He is a spiritual healer. A CEO of Brevenox. I'm reading off of your Insta, by the way. I'm sorry. I didn't have enough research here for this one. Akani Fuels and Impact Coal. For me, the most interesting aspect is you're a medium. I mean, myself personally, I don't speak for Gabby and for many. As we discussed before the episode, I am rather skeptical. I'm hoping by the end of this episode, maybe my mind will be changed. But let's start on that. I mean, how did that happen? When did you start getting in touch with these energies? How did this go?
Oh, and welcome to the Modern Man, by the way.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, guys. Thanks for bringing me on. Thank you. It's nice to be with you guys.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
And also to bring a bit of spirit into your conversations for your followers.
I appreciate it.
So it's an interesting question, and I'm going to answer you as best as I can. I come from a long line of people that do this, so I'm the most skeptical person in this room.
Yeah.
By the way, I came back from England recently on a TV show there, and they market me as a skeptical psychic because of that. I don't think psychic's the right word for me, but I was born this way. So it was a long line of women. So Sky, my oldest daughter, she's got it a bit as well. Well, she's got it a lot actually, but she kind of shies away from it. So my mom had it, my gran had it, all the way down the line. So we've actually got a Wolverson Bible with all the information in there.
So it's like a genetic thing.
Definitely, yeah. But so I was the first dude that came out. And I was my mom's only
Title
child.
of your first book, eh?
Yeah,
I was the first dude.
And then when I came out, I'm not going to tell you my age, but it's a while ago. So I came out and I was looking at people all around them, so everyone thought I was mad. They thought I was nuts. And my book will be released this year, so it's all in there, and I'll give you guys
amazing.
a copy.
Okay, appreciate it.
So I don't know, have you heard of metaphysics by any chance?
I've heard the term, but I've never actually done research into it, no.
So Metaphysics 101, if you're thinking of your mom and she phones you, and you say, hey mom, I was just thinking about you. So like, everything's connected. Metaphysical Society from the States got hold of my mom when I was a little man, and they said, listen, we want to come see Jay. So my mom was all excited. What she didn't know is that they were coming to disprove me, which you'll appreciate. They used the word debunk, actually.
Yeah, debunk like a myth kind of thing.
Yeah. So they ended up proving me right. So I'm one of two people that I know of in the world that was scientifically tested as a medium.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So what I was seeing though today as a science fact is auras and chakras.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually studying medicine at the moment because of it now. So all of us have cried before and it's not nice and you get a big lump in your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Medical science can't explain that, eh? They don't know what it is, but you can feel it. It's the same as heartache. It's really cuck, but you can feel it.
Yeah, that's true, eh? Like when you feel shit or something like that, you get that little feeling over you and you don't know what it...
For guys especially, well I suppose girls get it too when you get butterflies in your stomach. So now they're doing a whole lot of tests on this now, but they put an x-ray machine there, they don't see nothing, but you can feel it. So I learned to read that from a very young age. And so when people come to me, I warn them before, I'm not invading your space, but...
You can't not see it.
Yeah, and it kind of... And I sort of developed that. So my mom couldn't see that stuff. That was the difference between me and her. But it's something that we worked through together. And over the years, I was lucky enough to turn it into a career. She couldn't see spirit either. I can. And I was one of those kids as well, I must tell you, because I think you'll find it interesting. I keep referring to you, but I was one of those kids that when you're born into a family like I was, there's no gray area. It's positive or negative energy. And if it's negative energy, you learn how to get rid of it, which has actually become the biggest part of my career, which is why I actually travel all over the world with it. So I know how to get rid of negative energy. So I had this female presence around me when I was younger, but she felt beautiful and it was positive and there was no negative energy there. So in big inverted commas, in this country they're called a guide or a guardian angel. The word's been massively misused in South Africa, but my mom thought it was cute. Jay's got this invisible friend or whatever. She couldn't see it. And then as I got older, this woman told me stuff and I told my mom, and my mom was like, shit, how does he know this stuff?
Oh wow.
And that's
crazy. I don't think we understand that. Like,
yeah. So I turned that into a career.
yeah.
So
Isn't it overwhelming though? Like being able to see that like you can't turn it off. I'm guessing you can't turn it off.
So, yeah. So I've learned to deal with it over the years. So like if I go into a social environment, it's more comfortable for me if I have a couple of tequilas before I start.
100%.
As for us all, to be honest with you.
That's the normal stage fright.
Yeah. But I've learned to deal with it. I mean, it's, I've got a very bad habit. If I'm social, I go like this a lot, and I look above people's heads because I can see stuff, and everyone's like fixing their hair. But it's
I've actually noticed that you do that.
Have you? Yeah. But it's actually.
Someone's looking at me like, is there something flying above me?
But it happens a lot, and it's actually just energy. Yeah, so that's pretty much how that happened. So
can you explain to us, like, what does it look like? Like what is it like what you see in movies? When people, there's like lines around them, like different colors, or
have no idea.
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize what you would.
So you got a blue aura. You got blue energy. It looks like an energy that's around you. It's quite tight, so I can speak to you long after the show if you want about it.
Yeah.
So it kind of holds everything. You've got presence on your left-hand side, which tells me about your past. But it looks like an energy, and everyone's got like a different sort of color. I've noticed over the years, sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, we can have a conversation after this. I definitely want to know.
Tight, many likes it tight.
Toit. Gabs, are you struggling there with that water, by the way?
I really was.
Yeah, just
I don't know if anyone noticed that.
I watched you struggle.
And all the viewers.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, and how do you, again, I mean, I'm very curious. How do you know if there is, how can you differentiate between the positive and the negative energies?
So it's quite a long process to explain, but basically, if you think about it logically, nobody should just go off the street and actually go play Ouija board, okay? Because you don't know what you're doing.
I've watched enough movies to not do that.
Yeah, exactly. But if you think about it logically, I am like that myself. So I know how to channel it, but there are certain processes and procedures that you do to ensure that there's no negative energy around. Spiritually, stuff that I was taught from my family.
Okay, so there are steps to take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's no doubt there's positive and negative energy on the planet. So when I went to school, like religion made sense to me. I've got a very different version, I think, of what God is to the traditional person. But let me tell you, when you bring that energy into a negative environment, that negative energy can't handle it. It's as simple as that.
And it just leaves.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And that's why people like say skeptic or try to debunk you or this or that, because they don't want to believe. They're like, how do I say, closed-minded? Yes. Like Sebastian, yeah.
Fuck you.
But then it's actually why I took it into business, eh?
Yeah,
and like
you made a whole career out of this.
Yeah, so that guy over there was my client for 12 years.
Okay.
I thought you were looking at Jed.
Yeah, so that opened up a lot of doors. I mean, some really, I can't mention everybody's names, but I'm currently seeing a whole bunch of presidents at the moment.
Yeah.
And I like business. Energy works in business, and negative energy affects business. So like I would go in there and I could say when people are getting stolen from, where there's negative people, negative energies, negative influence, got stuck into business and it worked. That's how come I got an MBA and I got into business. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I wanted to ask you, I remember, I think it was like the last time I saw you, you mentioned how you get a vengeful spirit. And I wanted to know, is this something where if a spirit connects with you, a vengeful spirit connects with you, you'd be able to get justice in the sense of getting closure in terms of what happened to them, working with the cops and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I was also waiting to tell you about that one too.
That was a very interesting point when Gabby told us that.
So I'd like to actually go back to answer your question. So right in the beginning of my career, what she's talking about, I was approached by Carte Blanche in 702 actually.
Wild.
And so I've done that.
Derek Watts.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So there was a woman that got kidnapped. It was all over there, and the family got hold of me. and I did a live sort of interview with them, but I didn't know that they didn't know the information. I was actually busy in a reading. And the family was on air, and my manager at the time stopped the reading, said, Jay, you've got to come out, these guys are alive. And they asked me, they said, listen, Jay, we heard about you. Please, can you help? We're not getting anywhere with this case. And I said, yeah, she says she's fine, she's okay. I grew up in the south of Joburg. She told me where she was, where the body was. And then she also told me you did it. And there was a guy called Piet Bielefeld on the case at that time.
I actually read his book, and I think I know about this case that you're talking about.
Yeah, so you would. And then...
Wild.
And then so I also told him who did it. But he didn't believe me because it was the pastor's son. And it took them 2 months to figure that out. So that was a Vengeful Spirit.
So she told you what?
Yes,
I read about
and everything
this case.
checked
this
out.
Yes,
I'll show you the book. This really happened. Like this is wild.
She wanted justice to be done, and she got it done, and then she was fine after that. So yes, you do get a Vengeful Spirit.
And do you still do that, like work with the cops in any cases, or?
Yeah, so I did. I actually got approached recently. There's an unfortunate thing that's happening in our country with children. I'm sure at some stage you must have heard about it. And so I do, but the problem is the last one I did was quite a hectic one, so it did affect me.
I was about to say, what is the toll that?
Surely it must
take a huge toll on you.
Yeah, the last one that I did take a big toll on me because it wasn't a pretty story. We solved it, but it wasn't nice. So there's two trains of thought there. I figure I've given enough back, so I've done a lot of these cases since then. Since I did that, actually a lot of weird things happen. I got approached by all different kinds of organizations and people that wanted to do shows and stuff. But I like this. I like the personal stuff, and also I like the peace. That it was getting too much.
Yeah.
It was just
it's overwhelming after a while.
Yeah, and it takes your life force and it affects your soul. That so they'd bring a piece of, it's called clairsentience. So let's say Gabby's gone on
say that again.
Clairsentience.
Clairsentience.
So she's gone away with somebody and the family wants to know what's happening. They'll bring me her last item of clothing that she wore and a photograph. And then I can sort of pick up on that and I'll get pictures and stuff. Inevitably I can help with that. So it was always my way of giving back.
Yeah.
But I think I might be at the end of that, to be honest.
I can imagine it must also be, to an extent, like it affects your psyche as well, because having to deal with that constantly. I mean, you've already got these things, and now when it's a case, when someone is missing or someone has been killed or whatever, anybody, after a while you get to a point where it starts to affect you here as well.
Yeah.
You have so much to give back, like.
Yeah. So my mom couldn't handle it after a while. She stopped.
I don't think I'd be able to either, to be honest with you.
And she always said to me, she said, Jay, two things. I support you, but you're going to get very tired. Like it's going to affect your soul and it will affect your memory. So like, it's weird. She said your psychic brain's going to get strong, but your physical brain is not. And I was getting forgetful, and I thought, oh my gosh, then I had to start doing my MBA. I had to like go over and over and over stuff.
Yeah.
But it affects you. It's not like, I've got businesses now and I'm very lucky and grateful to do that. But I can work there from 4 o'clock in the morning till midnight. And I'll get up, no problem. But spiritually, if I do 5 readings a day, I'm spent.
Kaputs.
Yeah, it's different.
That's crazy.
But it's like, the way I explain it is if you remember what it felt like writing a 3-hour exam, how you feel after that. That's how I feel. But it's energy, and it's also very rewarding, to be honest. Most people that come to me get emotional. You'll know. And it's beautiful. The skeptical ones too. Those are my favorites. But it's nice for me because they see like, oh, there's something else out there. Oh, like how did he know that stuff? Yeah. And then they phone like the wife, hey, what did you tell him? How does he know? So I love that. And they'll sit down with me and say, you know what, I don't know why I'm here. I don't believe in this stuff.
But here I am.
But I'm here. And I'll say, well, okay, good. And inside I'm going, yes, I'm happy you're here.
Yeah.
So that's rewarding for me. I like helping people get to their destinations quicker. And if I can help in any way, shape or form.
Because we live in a very physical world. I think a lot of people don't have the mind to kind of grasp what the spiritual world
Majority
is.
of people are very out of touch.
I feel like I know a little bit, but I don't like.
But I think
when
for
you think
any human trying to conceptualize something
it
that
doesn't
we
make
can't
sense,
see, touch, or understand is like it's crazy.
It's
you
difficult.
know?
It's a foreign
Yeah.
concept.
100%.
You see it in movies and stuff, and you think, oh no, it's like
It's just
that's just a thing. But
speaking of movies, there's a show called what's that chick? Long Island.
Long Island Medium.
She was proven fake, yeah.
Okay, I was about to ask what you thought of
I've
her.
never heard of it. What is
Because
Long Island
Yeah.
Medium?
On
she used to go like to shops or like walk around wherever she was and basically like find people and be like, you know, someone's connecting with me, and she would do a reading out in public and like read these people and constantly have things passing through her head, and then she would express those to people. But it was quite intense. Like that's the first I'd ever heard of a medium, was that show.
So I can tell you something interesting about that. There was another one called Crossing Over with John Edwards. I don't know if you ever watched that,
No.
but that's what sort of took mediumship mainstream. So it's a guy standing in front of a crowd of people that he doesn't know, and then he would have people come through that have passed away and give them messages.
Okay.
And often he did some beautiful stuff. Me and him are actually friends, by the way. But anyway, South Africa, SABC asked me to do that. They wanted me to do that because they wanted me to be the South African version of
They wanted to
Crossing
commercialize
Over.
it.
Yeah, and
And
they,
that's not what you want to do.
no, they said they liked the way I look, so I'm self-marketable. And I said, man, I'm not gonna do this for that reason. But and this to get to Long Island Medium, I grew up in my family that said I can't use my ability for the 3 W's: woman, wealth, and well-being. So it's a spiritual law. You can't go and invite yourself up to somebody and start talking to them. That's why people can come and see me. Or if I'm sitting with my family at a restaurant, for instance, it happens often, and I can see there's a person with the waitress, and like they want to give a message. So Sky will say then, listen, this is what my dad does. He's got a message for you. Would you like him to tell you? That you see what I mean? You have to engage. You can't just go, hey, listen, this is happening.
They'll think you're crazy.
I was actually going to
100%.
ask about the ethics behind being a medium and
What happens if you break
rules
that
and
triple W rule?
So
What are the
I've got a really
consequences?
funny story about
Yeah.
that, and I'm sure your followers would
That-
like this one.
That's not an easy rule to not break. You
Maybe
know,
for
like
you,
that,
bro.
yeah, for me, it's 100%. Like
women and wealth, man.
women and
Bro.
wealth. We're like, yeah, you know, like I would, if I've got it, then
Yeah,
I
he'd
would think about
abuse
it.
it,
You know, like
Yeah, so
it's like Bruce Almighty shit.
So like one of the you guys can't play cards with me because you'd never win. So I learned with cards.
I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, so I'm
Crazy
not
eight, so.
I'm not allowed to gamble with it
At all?
No. So
That's wild.
so like it's a big joke. You know how many people have asked me for the numbers for the lotto? Like I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Like I was going to. I'm so guilty.
You see.
Guilty as charged.
So like, and funny enough, if I try real hard, I can see stuff. But my mates, when I was 25, they took me to Sun City. And they had a big plan. So they're on the Valley of the Waves, and they're feeding me tequila, they're having water. And after a
clever
while, I
bastards.
was like,
They played you, eh?
yeah,
proper,
big time.
proper.
And they took me to the roulette table. But like they dressed me, took me to the roulette table. They said, okay, red or black. And I got it right like 25 times in a row or something.
Fuck.
And then when I came out of that whole social thing, my guide energy was gone, and I cried for like a week.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and it's something, it's difficult to explain. I learned my lesson hard, and then I understood what my mom was talking about. So I can't go up to somebody sitting at the bar and manipulate the situation to suit myself because I can see what's happening. I can't invite myself into somebody spiritually. I can't manipulate business to suit myself. I can drive it and I can do it.
Yeah.
But
Because I was about to say, with business especially, you kind of not have to, but like it's a big part in trying to
I mean,
manipulate the situation
For the sake
to
of
work
business,
for
you
Yeah.
know?
to go forward and progress.
just not psychically.
Okay.
So like, for instance, if I can see what's happening in that person's life, which I would be able to see, I can't use that to manipulate the outcome.
So
Okay.
is that what you mean when you say with women as well? You can see what's going on in her life and what would be good for her. So you can't use that to go,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, so my relationships have to be really honest.
I think all relationships should be really
Yeah,
honest.
Yeah, but I mean, what
Not
I
that
mean
they
is
are.
from
No,
the
but he's one
get-go.
of the few men that are
Yeah.
forced to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a shame, yeah. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So you say like you can read somebody, like, so do you straight up like,
Can you read minds?
yeah, like is it do you know what they're thinking, like what they,
Or is it not that simple?
is it
It's
more
the same
a
thing.
basic thing?
Okay.
So if a person is sitting in front of me, if you ask if I can do it just naturally, like in a meeting or meeting you guys, I can, yes. But if I concentrate really hard in a room in that environment, I can very much get what they're thinking and feel what's happening around them, who they're with, and get names and stuff like that.
Fuck.
It was only later on in my career, by the way, where I became a medium. No one's born a medium. You develop like that. So you get very sensitive and close to spirit, and you start understanding it. And the only way that I can explain it to you guys is I learned to kind of go like this with my energy, and they come down and I meet somewhere in the middle. And then I start getting names and things that only those people would know. And yeah, 25 years later, I haven't been wrong yet.
Jason has told me things about my family that my family never told me. And I had to, I didn't know my mom had kids before me and my brother.
Wow.
And Jason told me that. And I was like, my brother's alive, so I don't know what you're talking about. And then he said, phone your mom after this. And I did. And my mom said, how
the fuck did you find out?
I was pregnant before your brother, and told me the story, but my parents had never told me that. So it's some crazy shit.
But again, that must be such a burden to have so much information on people around you, and you would know it, but you don't. Sometimes you don't want to tell them.
What if there's something, like you're in a room with someone, and you see that there is something objective bad going on with their energy? I mean, what is your stance? Do you feel obligated to go and do something to help them?
Tell them, yeah.
So I used to, and then Spirit told me that everybody has their own karma. So
very true. I believe in.
So, and you can't. It's actually evil to assume somebody else's karma. So I can't interfere with somebody's life purpose. You're not allowed to do that. So we choose to come here, choose our lessons, and bring people into that contract. A lot of people would say, "But Jay, why would I choose to go through this? We came here to learn."
Yeah.
So I used to. I used to get involved because I felt the guilt.
You needed to, yeah.
And then I got a swift kick up the pants, and they said, "No, you can't. You gotta let them go through this stuff." That's hard for me. It's very hard, but even with my kids.
Yeah, I was about to say, how does that work now? Being a father of two girls,
and being a medium.
And because you must see things that you don't want to see.
You know, and you've got two daughters. Oh my goodness gracious! I'd be mortified as a father.
Yeah.
So
every time we have the conversation about kids, it's always the worst.
So I've actually got a son as well, by the way. Okay. He's 7, and I think he carries a lot of this spirit as well. But anyway, with my girls, because they're with me, again, they've just learned to be honest. They can't keep stuff from me.
Shame there's no lying to you.
The way that I grew up, I thought I was going to be like a hard dad. But they're like my best buds now.
I see how you are with them, how you interact. You're very gentle.
Yeah, and they want me to go out with them. They want me to be with them. They talk to me.
With them.
Yeah. Look, I had them when I was really young too. I think that helps. But the vibration, they're my buds. And they talk to me about stuff. I was actually dating a girl when Sky got her first boyfriend. I was sitting with the parents of this guy, and I had this psychic moment. I walked to the bedroom, and this guy had his arm around Sky, and I said, "Okay, get up, we're going now." And
you knew.
And then I did. And then when we got home, this girl says that I was dating at the time, I'm actually indebted to her. She said, "Listen, you can't act on all the feelings that you have."
Yeah.
Because she's not going to tell you anything.
That's true, though.
And then now I don't act on those feelings because she's got to live her own life process. She's got to do her own stuff. And,
she's got to shelter them.
And now they tell me. Now they tell me by themselves. Maybe a little bit too much, but they tell me.
Hey,
so
at least they tell you. No, that's a beautiful relationship.
I don't know if I would want to know half the stuff, bro, to be honest with you. Like, some things about a daughter, like...
Well, you know what? They always told me where they were going. They told me what's happening. I mean, my kids had their friends lying to their parents and sleeping at my house.
Yeah.
And I said, don't do that. Tell your parents.
Yeah, they'll be okay with it.
Yeah, my kids, they told me everything and I was happy with it. Because they realized a long time ago, so I know when they're lying. I know when they're doing this stuff. And kids are the biggest manipulators to their parents.
110%.
It's just the way that it is. So like I saw through that a long time ago with them. And it just that they know that they can't do it to me.
If one of them has a boyfriend or even your son has a girlfriend and that partner is doing something wrong, cheating or whatever it may be, would it count as you
getting involved?
If you tell if you tell them what's going on?
A medium and a father.
So I made that mistake actually with Sky. The first like big love of her life. I knew stuff that was going on there.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So like I said to her,
spill the tea when we do.
Just be careful, because I saw that the energy changed and everything, and then I realized I was getting involved. So I couldn't. That was hard for me. But they both grew out of it. They both seemed to be doing well. Sky grew a lot from that situation. So I'm not allowed to get involved. But if it's something physical that happens, so for instance, if I find out physically, not psychically,
okay, I see.
Then you have a duty as a dad.
Yes.
Yeah. To go throw hands.
100%. Yes.
Throw all the hands. Be like, I know what you did, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You said that when you went gambling, you lost your guide, and how did you get that back?
So a lot of repenting, a lot of prayer work, a lot of meditating, a lot of humility, and then she came back. But I learned hard. I learned that hard.
So how do you balance? So like spirituality, religion, big. Is there a difference?
Does it clash?
What is
you're
how
a
do they
religious man,
work
I presume.
together?
So I'm not a religious man at all.
Okay.
I don't believe in religion. I can quote any holy book in the world to you. So when I was a little man, and this is why, when I was little, I was either this amazing little psychic kid or the devil's child. So I thought I was going to hell. I promise you. In fact, for you guys, as a gift to you, I've got lots of interviews and stuff coming up with pastors and stuff. You guys will really enjoy that.
Okay.
But I don't. So I was actually at church on Sunday, but I don't go for religion. I go for whatever the God energy is. Like I know God's not in the clouds with a big grey beard. I know that because I can feel and sense energy. But I think when Constantine created Christianity, it needed to be created.
When who? Say again?
Constantine.
Like John.
No.
You miles off it, babe. Miles off
We'll
it.
have this conversation after the podcast.
It's only Constantine I know.
Goodness.
But the world wasn't in a good place. But that's where I think the name came from. I'm looking forward to the new one.
At least your culture.
Yeah, it does.
Oh shit, my bad.
But the world was in a bad place. But there's so much manipulation and stuff with it. I think we all know that.
100%.
So I don't believe.
And stuff
I don't believe in it. I mean, I can tell you 10 oaks right now, that were born on the 25th of December, called the Son of Man, died, rose from the cross, born from a virgin mother, and his real birthday was actually in October. I mean,
it's not on Christmas.
So I believe in the guy. I've studied him. I believe Jesus was there because of my spiritual work, but I do believe that it's been a big manipulation. So spirituality and true religious energy is in alignment. But like on Sunday, I went to church because there's a whole thing of why I went there. But the guy was talking, and I got the message. Like, it was good for me. So I've never found somebody like me that I've got faith in. Never, not once. I can tell you guys funny stories about that. The one oak said I'm gay and I don't know it yet. And let me tell you,
wow,
I don't have any issues with guys that are gay. I've got lots of gay mates, but I definitely am not, So like, it's not. There's no laden stuff inside of me.
It's not like it's closeted.
And I was just like listening to this, going, "Geez, okay."
Especially because you're so in touch. I'm guessing you're very self-aware because you've got so much going on that you know exactly what's going on in your thoughts and your brain. And someone tells you something, and you just look at them like, "Okay, no, that's dumb." Like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, kind of thing. No,
I'm not judgmental, buddy. I work in a very big space of like people must be who they are. And if you guys knew what was going on here all the time, everyone would think I'm mad. And if we were all honest about ourselves, everyone's like that.
Yeah.
I'm not like that. I'm like, you be you, and I love you for you, and I love that about you. That's super cool, I in fact like it. If you tell me everything about you, I want to know all the stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know all the bad, everything, and I love you for it. That's me.
I think the bad gives more insight to a person than the good.
Absolutely,
100%.
Yeah. We don't. The good stuff's lacquer, but you learn from that, and the dark stuff that you've been through and that makes you who you are.
That's like a hammer and a chisel, And it molds you as a person.
Yeah.
So what kind of daily practices do you do? You said you like meditate, you do this and that. Like what's your like routine like to keep yourself in check?
So I wake up, I have ice bath.
Every morning.
Every
ways.
morning. Then I meditate. Then I take my green juice with all my supplements, do all my personal work, get everything done. So that's 4 o'clock in the morning, by the way. Then I get up from 5 to 6:30. I do my other work. 7 to 8, I'm training. I do my work, all my other stuff. Then I got my meetings. I come back. I'll do a spinning class. Then I'll do a sauna at night. But in between that, I do breath work. During the day, I try to do an NSDR, no sleep, deep rest, for about 20-25 minutes.
What's that?
It's just sort of reprogramming. It's like if you're not getting enough sleep, it's really good to do that in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like
You're not
it's
sleeping, but you're sleeping, essentially.
yes, yeah. So that's amazing. I recommend everyone does it.
I need to learn
Give it a
about that.
bash.
I've never heard of that. What? So
You'll
like,
work
how do
in
you
a
do it?
restaurant, trust me. You
So
know.
if you just go onto YouTube and put NSDR, and
Yeah.
you'll see 25 minutes is perfect. If everybody did that in the middle of the day, we'd be living in a beautiful world. I
Yeah.
promise
Hey,
you.
we'd have flying
I
cars.
was about to say,
and
'cause I can't
free
nap.
healthcare.
I'm not a napper. Like, I can't sleep during the day. If
Me
I had to
too.
go lay down and
also
I had
not
to
a
try
napper.
sleep, I can't. I'd lay there. Even
Google
if I'm
it.
up for 24
Google
hours,
it, you
I
guys,
can't
you
do
guys
it.
will be grateful. It is.
So,
I agree with you.
okay.
It is very, very
Okay.
useful.
It's especially in the high-paced. So I've kind of got goals for myself. Just out of interest sake, I just started my doctorate. Just
Oh,
out
very
of
nice.
in-
In
so like-
medicine? Wait,
No,
what-
no,
what
no.
is it?
It's for business. A doctorate
Okay.
in business.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try and keep myself busy because I want to be done by a certain age. And then
What is your end goal? When the days end, all your stuff, like you say, you've got
Yeah.
all your
When do you kick your feet up and say, I'm done, I want to...
Yeah, and you just chill out, you know? Just go. Is that a thing for you, or do you think you're going to work till the day you die?
I'll have to keep my mind busy till the day I die.
Yeah,
That's
for
fair.
sure. Otherwise, you will die.
I
Like a
just
lot of
finished
people
a
like that.
sabbatical, by the way. I took a break from spiritual work
Mhm.
to open up 2 businesses,
Mm.
which are on my Instagram.
Okay. And which are those two?
Impact Coal and a Carney Global Petroleum.
Okay.
My kids wanted certain things and I wanted certain things. And
got
then
this lovely
therefore
house.
they can't, in a perfect world we wouldn't need cash, but we do.
Mm?
And we need to adapt.
So, and I understand spiritually the energy of money now. So I needed to do that, but my deal with the universe was, when I get it right, I'll go back to spirit, which is what I've done. And interestingly, you guys got hold of me shortly after that.
Really? So
Which
we
Good timing.
It's a sign.
Hey, that's the universe.
Yeah, that's I took that as a big sign. So I will always do spiritual work, but it'll be on my terms. I can't do 10 a day anymore. Or it'll be
Every
like
time someone
I
calls
look
you up.
after my people. It'll be more emotional. I want to be excited about it and not just because the world needs help, man.
Mm.
You know, so
There's a lot wrong with it at the moment.
Is there any way that people could, how do I say, become like you? Like, can you practice it, or is it
Is it
just
a muscle
a
that you
gift?
can work?
Is it?
every single
Can you get to
person,
a point where you can like
Every
really?
single person could practice it.
every single person can connect spiritually. We're all spiritual beings on a human journey.
Mm.
So you start meditating, you start reading the right stuff, you start grounding yourself, you start doing clearing techniques, you'll become more sensitive.
Mm.
You'll pick up on stuff. You know, it's like when you meet somebody and you either like them or you don't. We've all had that.
Yeah.
Or,
It's a gut feeling from the
or
beginning.
you're thinking about someone in their phone, or that's clairsentience. And then you start magnifying that, it turns into clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is like you have a dream about somebody and you phone them and say, listen, I had a dream you were having an accident. And then now they're aware on the road, and then they avoid an accident, and they're like, phone, hey, shit, you won't believe it.
I was nearly in an accident.
That grows. So I do that in my room.
Mm.
I've just magnified it. But look, I was born into a line of it.
Mm.
But everybody can
Get to a certain
get
level.
definitely.
Mm.
So I like teaching meditations, and I like teaching classes actually. So what my mommy taught me, I've taught that to quite a few different people.
Mm.
And I've got there's 2 other practicing people like me that I know that I taught,
Mm.
and they're doing well.
I'd actually love to learn more, because like I've tried the meditation thing. I do try every now and then. My routine isn't fantastic at the moment, but like, yeah, what do you think about? You know, like I try to just focus on my breath, and then my mind just runs. Like then I find myself thinking about some like random
You gotta
shit.
bring it back, bro.
Other this, then you go, okay, cool, bring it back, and then like 5 seconds into it later, then it just runs again. So like it's not an easy thing to do.
So sorry, I know you want to ask something, but there's not one person alive that can clear their mind, I promise you.
Yeah, because you see in
It's
movies, they're like,
nonsense.
clear your head.
it's
And then
no.
it's like a white thing.
It's
You
you
can,
focus on one
you
thing.
can train your mind though. You can train
Yeah.
it. So everybody that's learning meditation must definitely start with guided meditation. So that's where someone's painting a picture for you.
Mm.
If I ask you now to think about your granny, okay, and you put a picture of her in your mind,
Mm.
that's the part of your brain you meditate with.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I
So-
was gonna say, like, I used
Why
to
am I?
be like
Why,
that.
okay, wait, why did you say my granny though? Like,
Just connectivity. That's all.
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Because my granny was actually just in the hospital like the other day,
Yeah.
which is and the other one died like recently too.
So that one that died is with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I
so-
can believe.
Yeah.
Probably
Oh,
busting
Gloria.
his balls all the time.
That's what she
Yeah.
used to do, bro. She's like, why are you bringing so many girls
Is
over?
he flicking you for all your poor life choices? 100%. No,
Oh.
no,
I don't
so
know. I
rest
don't
in
know how
peace.
it works and how they do their stuff there. But what I can tell you, so that's why I use your gran, because
Yeah.
in spirit she's with you. But if you like my mom is in spirit now, and let me tell you, my connection with her today is better than it was when she was here.
Yeah.
So like I say affectionately to all my clients and all my family and people, I don't know how they do what they do, but boy do they do it.
Mm.
So for me, when my mom and I started connecting in spirit, I got divorced, but for me that was great. I'm very happily divorced. I moved, my career started changing, things really started excelling. So if you've got some sort of karmic connection like that, and that's why I always encourage people, talk to them, ask them for signs. They're there. You know
That's
that.
what I was gonna say. I used to be like you. I didn't really know how to be receptive, so like I would try and meditate, and it just felt like there was a lot going on, and I couldn't, focus. I couldn't get it down to where I wanted to be. And after I started seeing Jason, I kind of learned how to control that. So like obviously, like you say, no one can quiet down your mind at the click of a finger and just stop thinking about everything. But you kind of learn how to be more receptive, and the more receptive you are, the more energy and the more in touch you are with things.
That's crazy. Sure. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around all this. It's,
Yeah.
And it's also very peaceful and it's love energy. I mean, people think it's cliche, but it's
Because
not.
you seem like such a calm dude. Like,
Right?
you're
So
so
chill.
chilled, bro. Like,
Thank
you
you.
don't look like you have a care in the world right now.
Yeah, I have a lot going on, man. but I've learned that. It's actually a bit. I don't know if I've learned it too much, but you can imagine people come see me. Then they don't come to me because they're happy.
Yeah.
They come to me because they're
They
battling with
got a
stuff.
problem to fix or
And
something.
I've learned to deal with that. And I think I apply those sciences in my life. Well, I try. My life's not perfect, man. But I try.
But at least you own up to it. And like when he said, you're self-aware. And I think that's important for everyone.
If you guys looked at any of my social medias, I always say, we all know what's good and what's bad. Who's good and who's bad. We all know. We just don't always act accordingly.
Act on it, yeah. That's what when you were saying, no, about like if you walk into a room and you can feel people, whether you
No,
like
you
them
can
or
feel
not.
the vibe.
I feel like that more when we get stoned or like take shrooms or something like that. Then it's straight away. As soon as you're talking to that person, you can figure out
You
like, this
can-
is
yeah.
not it. Like
Yes.
they are not my kind of person, or they are my kind of person.
Because let me
can
tell you, when
figure
I
that out.
first met this oak, I thought he was the biggest dickhead.
Yeah, we hated
in
each
the
other.
world.
Big
Really,
time.
eh?
You're big time in school, yeah. We were like,
Like salt and pepper,
yeah,
oil and water.
yeah,
It was
we
just,
disliked each other. We didn't even know each other. We didn't speak to each other.
yeah, it was
always
just you look
fuck
like
that
you look like an idiot. I don't like you.
guy. yeah.
And
He came
and
into my school thinking he was cooler.
look at this.
Now we're twins. We can really pass off as cousins, eh?
I think there's practices to opening your third eye. I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, but there's definitely practices to opening that third eye. Be it if you believe in things like
What is a third
drugs,
eye? Like I
ayahuasca,
always hear that
whatever.
term. I don't feel like I know.
So
Enough
it's your
of-
mind's eye.
Yeah, it's a figurative eye. It's
Mm.
not-
Yeah.
Just not like
It's supposed to be, yeah. So we
Dragon
have
Ball
a very funny thing. I don't know if you guys can see. It's called Wolverson head. I've got it's extended, yeah. It's connected to the pineary gland. This guy's got it too. So it's an effective third eye. But I work with that all the time.
Mm.
So yes, there's lots of practices that you can
Whatever
use.
you believe in, there's
Yeah.
different ways of.
Interestingly enough, I mean, I don't know if this is the right platform on it, but it sounds like it is. So spiritually, I can't take ayahuasca and stuff like that, but I believe actually in mushrooms because everybody I know that's worked with that for medicinal or for healing purposes.
Yes.
Let me tell you, they learn.
No, they do.
So
I've
I've
heard
found
such good things
shrooms
about
to be
it, yeah.
extremely healing.
Yeah, and it opens that up. I mean, it's
Up,
sensitive.
yeah.
It makes you more connective, more open, connected to nature, which is what it's about.
I'm not gonna lie, I had a panic attack the last time I did shrooms.
No,
so-
I had
but was
a-
in- yeah,
You
I
have
don't
to
think
be
I was
in
a great
the right
space, so
state of
yeah,
mind and
yeah,
doing
yeah.
it for the right reasons,
Yeah,
though.
I
Especially
went-
if you're doing it for spirituality.
Yeah.
I went and
I did it to
experienced
party, to
something
be
that
honest
was
with you.
called ego death, and I'd gone totally off the deep end. And
Was that ayahuasca?
no, it was
No, it was on
mushrooms.
shrooms.
It
You
was,
ate
it
it
was
too
a,
much.
yeah, it was a high dosage. Actually, not that high. And I think the strain was called Golden Teacher, and I remember vividly. I was trying to sleep it off. You know when your body's trying to reject something, you're either trying to vomit or trying to sleep. And I remember walking out into my living room and I asked my friends, "Did I die? Am I dead?" Because I thought that I was. I'd completely disconnected from my ego. That's why they call it ego death, because your ego is what makes you you. And I'd forgotten what my name was. I'd forgotten who I was. And I remember trying to sleep. It was just an automatic response. Just try and sleep it off and you'll be fine and when you wake up. But you can't sleep when you're on shrooms, when you're tripping. You can't. You physically
Same as
can't.
when you're too stoned. Like
Yeah,
you
closing
can't-
your eyes is
It's
trippy
worse.
as
So
fuck.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
laying
fuck.
in bed and I'm seeing these
Like the
hooded
last thing you
figures
wanna do.
looming over me. And I genuinely thought that I'd died and gone to hell. I'll say this though, it was a very educational experience because I learned a lot about myself. There were doors that I'd closed over the years. You suppress traumas. And those doors got busted off the hinges and I learned a lot about myself. When I was done, when I came out, I cried like a baby. I cried my whole eyes out. It was almost like it was beautiful, the timing, because when I'd eventually come back and I was coming out of the trip, it had started raining. And yeah, it was wild. It was a wild experience. That was the closest I can say that I came to any sort of
Being that
spiritual. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that? Those ibogaine clinics, they bulgur plants. It's found in Africa and one other place. I don't know where else it is, but I had a drug addict ex-boyfriend, so this is how I learned about this stuff. But basically, it's a plant that they use specifically for addicts, but also just people looking to heal, and it's like some kind of spiritual experience. So you go to these clinics and they give you this plant, and it's basically like shrooms, but I think it's a lot more intense. And all the testimonies that I've heard, that even sometimes like soldiers go there for PTSD,
yeah.
and basically, so it eliminates all your feelings of craving. And in the time that you're on this plant or drug, whatever you want to call it, apparently you have like these flashbacks of your life, and it shows your life to you in like a movie.
That's
type
what
real,
happened to
no?
me when I had exactly the
and
same.
it's
Yeah.
scared. Apparently, it like scares some different kind of life into you, that when you wake up and you come back into your normal conscious being, you have zero cravings for it because you've seen your life in a different light. All the people you've hurt, your family. Apparently, it's crazy. He never landed up going because he's still a drug addict. But all the research that I did,
Shout out.
That conversation took a turn, bro.
but the research that I did, it sounded incredible. It sounded very much like shrooms, just a lot more intense.
So I've got something quite interesting to say about that, from a spiritual perspective. So by the way, I see that stuff all the time, which is why I'm not allowed to take it actually, because I'm not opposed to it, and I've had an interesting social life previously. So, but anyway, all the tests that they're doing on all these things around the world, what they're starting to notice is from all different walks of life, people that don't know each other, opposite sides of the earth. They're seeing the same beings, the same energies, the same places. They're starting to actually believe that there's another whole realm.
That there's another plane.
On where we are.
So they believe in, because it makes sense to me. If you take the Red Indians, the most spiritually advanced group of people ever. It's where ayahuasca comes from, actually.
Yeah.
And these guys would go into the state and they'd come out with a solution to a problem. They would go into.
It's like
that
Black
state.
Panther. Like when they're going to sorry
I mean,
to use that as an
yes,
analogy,
yes.
but when he goes into the realm with they got the ancestors
100%.
and there's this and that.
100%. Wow. So now they're starting to realize, hang on, these things are all talking to each other. All these stories are the same. This is now getting freaky.
Yeah.
Let's do some more research on this. So they're starting to realize, I mean, the ayahuasca plant, the two strand, they bring that thing together. It's like the chances of them finding that equation out are like quadrillion to one kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they went into this realm, and Spirit told them, put this root and this thing together, and then you've got ayahuasca. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's quite
That's
interesting.
wild. That's wild.
So that's what, you know,
Yeah.
the spiritual perspective. And so I have a lot of friends, and I've encouraged a lot of people to do it, but for healing, not always
for recreational
Yeah.
use.
I think
Yeah.
people like to
You
these days. They
definitely-
like to try. They do drugs. They do the shrooms. You know, when people are microdosing daily and smoking all the
Yeah,
weed
yeah,
And
yeah.
you definitely have a
Yeah.
different experience if you're doing it for those reasons.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
going into it thinking, I'm doing this for some type of healing or spirituality clean or whatever it is that you, as opposed to, I want to get high,
Yeah.
you're going to have a whole
but
different
I
outcome.
think people are now using that, saying like, I'm doing it for spiritual this and that, but they're only doing it just to get.
I know,
stoned
listen,
majority
mind
of
you,
the
if
time,
you're
right?
taking shrooms like recreationally, you're brave. I won't take shrooms just for good vibes, guys. I'll
Yeah.
smoke a blunt, it's fine.
Shrooms
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah, no, if,
Well, you'd
if,
be like Mike
if something
Tyson,
needs
eh?
fixing, I'll take
You
some
lick a
shrooms.
toad. Have you heard that thing? Mike Tyson said he saw God, bro.
He licked the toad and
he
saw
said he
God.
licked the toad and
Bless
saw
him.
God. That hoax weird now. Like, have you ever
He's
listened
changed,
to-
eh?
He's changed.
He's
like,
changed a lot.
I tried to listen. I sit and listen to Mike Tyson's podcast, right? The hot boxing. I
Okay, but listening to
genuinely
him
I
speak
can't
as well,
understand him at times because not the way he speaks, but like he just says some things that I can't.
He kind of goes off on
I
a
don't.
trail
I don't.
that you're not
yeah,
there for.
I don't get it. Like I can't. How do I say? What's the word that I'm trying to? I can't think
It'll
of the
come
word
to you,
now.
don't worry.
Yeah, when we're done with this, I'm gonna figure it out. But I can't. Yeah, fuck.
So I have
lost it
a
also.
friend that I grew up with, and he smokes weed, but every day, and he smokes a couple times. But he was an aggressive bouncer, powerful guy, and he built up a really big name for himself. And he's actually working in that environment in Bangkok at the moment. But he smokes weed, and he's a completely different ike. And I think it did that for Mike Tyson
Yeah.
because
It mellowed
just
him out.
he wasn't operating properly, and now he's massively wealthy. He's using his brain correctly.
Yeah.
So in his, even if he's not making sense, he's
Yeah.
a better human being now.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
He's a
he-
nicer
He actually
person, but I
said
just
that.
don't
He said if he
understand it.
stops smoking weed, he'll
He'll turn back.
you'll flip.
He says he sits and he eats like a handful of shrooms and stuff. Like, yeah. I saw him on the Impulsive podcast. He literally started that thing and he grabbed
No,
a handful
man.
of shrooms, like 5G straight, and he just chowed that
So,
thing, bro.
so basically, he's
wild.
such a wild animal that he needs to tranquilize.
And then he was playing with
himself.
his fucking pigeon.
But he is like he's.
Yeah, and
he's
he's
Yeah,
a monster.
still the-
He
he's
is
one
a
of
there's
the
a
bloody
reason he was
monster.
such a good athlete. He's crazy.
What kind of people do you work with the most? Like you say, you work with presidents, stuff like that. What are the most interesting, like, career people that you work
So-
with, like athletes and?
So one of the reasons at one time I was in talks with Ryan Seacrest.
The host,
Yeah,
the other
E.
host, like
From
E-host,
E,
yeah.
yeah.
No,
yeah.
no,
So
yeah.
they were very
Shut up.
interested in me before. There's a medium show at the moment on with Tyler Henry, and
Oh, I've
they
seen
didn't
Tyler Henry.
they didn't quite like everything about him, but they wanted me to speak to stars and stuff, and I turned it down because I like talking to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
You don't
very
want to be the celebrity whisperer.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I was actually having that chat this morning. If I wanted to do a TV show, I would.
Yeah.
And I like the privacy, I like the intimacy, and everybody's got a story to tell. So like,
100%.
I'm very lucky with the people that I've met, and that I work with currently. So it's nice to be at a table with the president.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
also
of
really
course.
nice to be with somebody else, and you see the beauty in all the different
You
souls.
see, they said there's people at the end of the day. Whether,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
doesn't matter what kind of stance they or career path they've chosen.
Well, I'll tell you an interesting thing about that is when people realize very quickly with me in an environment like that they can't keep anything from me, and it's a very beautiful place to be because it's naked almost.
yeah,
and
it's honest.
and
vulnerable.
and then you realize everyone's the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone's got their
And
things.
it's why I like business.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't realize I'm quite good at business, but I use that tactic in business. Hey, you're just like me.
Yeah,
You know, let's do this together. Come, let's grow together. Let's
Yeah.
do this. Let's use my contact, yours. I've got a better understanding of this. It's just life sciences.
make things work.
Hmm.
Let me
I
ask you.
think we got to wrap it up. Eh?
Do we?
Yeah, we got to wrap it up. Last thing, Jason, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you, how to get in contact with you, if you're open to taking new people, like?
Yeah, so I'm always open. I'm Jason Spirit on Instagram, Jason Wolverson on Facebook. 07.
Okay, maybe don't put your number.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might get spam.
Yeah, you'll get spammed, bro.
My work number's fine though, but that's a good medium to communicate with me on, and I'm happy to talk and help anybody. So those are my mediums.
Perfect.
From
Excuse
the
the
medium.
pun.
Medium for me. Man, this was probably the most interesting conversation
Yes.
we've had. Like, yeah, my mind's a bit blown. We're going to chat after this.
Yeah, no, for
I'm
sure,
very
for sure.
intrigued by this. But guys, I just want to say thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you on the next episode. Ciao.
Thank
it.
you.